Salute to you all. The brave never fall. Self-love through freedom and connection. So feel free to connect to the brave never fall on these social media platforms. If you find anything of value in this following podcast, hit that like button, subscribe and share, and support the Brave and Bold tribe, growing one purposeful soul at a time. There are no coincidences in life. The strength you have is real. Each breath you take is a blessing. Don't give up, give more. Believe in yourself and trust yourself. How are you feeling? Take a moment to do a self-check-in for yourself. How are you feeling mentally? How are you feeling emotionally? How are you feeling physically? How are you feeling spiritually? Are you feeling balanced? Are you still journeying on an intentional, purposeful path? How are you feeling? Balancing yourself is a healthy daily practice that will reliably keep you in harmony with your entire mind, body, heart, and soul. Clear your mind. Take a moment of silence for yourself right now in the moment. You are here now. How are you feeling? Adaptation in life is essential. Stand motionless for too long and you will learn nothing. Explore yourself and your surroundings. All of that stuff sounds like old things you might hear from a monk sitting by a tree who has lived a very long life, but you may say, what makes you think you know everything? And the monk will probably tell you, I don't know everything. I know nothing. I haven't even begun to explore this life, and I'm an old man. And that sticks in the back of my mind all the time, is that there's always something new to learn. And that the focus of life sometimes is about, people say, it's time to get moving. Let's get moving. I'm up and moving. But they forget about it's not just your body that's moving. It's also your mind. Your mind is moving constantly, even while you're sleeping. We're dreaming. It's always moving. The metaphor of staying in one place for too long is where the focus needs to be. Because even in your mind, even though it's moving, where is it moving to? Even though you say you're up and you're going and we got the day going, where are you going? What are you doing? There's always something there that we can look at and say, yes, I'm going, but that might be the wrong direction. Yes, I'm going. I'm going to continue going here because this is definitely the right direction. Focus and attention on those sort of things changes a lot when it comes to how we even get through a day. What's important, what's not important, what's purposeful, what's not purposeful. Have I stayed in this place too long, or have I not gone far enough in this place? Is my mind and my body balanced? That is what the monk would tell you. Nomad, a member of a people having no permanent abode and who travel from place to place to find fresh pasture for their livestock. A person who does not stay long in the same place, a wanderer. A journey is a trek, a mobilization of purpose that began the moment we were conceived. We all have a separate destination, a separate route, highway, path, and crossroads. One path on someone's journey does not equal the next. Each is unique with its own story, consequences, failures, and success. Mobility of the body is also not the same as mobility of the mind. We can stay in one place physically, that is a choice. Our minds, however, is adapting one way or the other, positively or negatively, depending on where we stand on our morals, values, principles, boundaries, self-love, self-respect, and self-worth. Our minds can be roller coasters, where our bodies are trees. It's all about the choice. Do we look forward to all forms of change, or just the parts of us that we're least afraid of? Fear plays a huge part when it comes to inaction and adaptation and evolving as a person. Fear petrifies those who do not face that fear. The stress of the unknown, insecurities in our relationships, lack of confidence in our abilities, all add up to fear. Fear. We can't run and hide from ourselves. Answering the call of who we are is one of the bravest attributes a person can possess within themselves. Ownership and accountability of and over who we really are is vital to self-love and self-respect. Our worth is what we perceive it to be. Time to mobilize the body as well as the mind. Time to face our fears. Move on to growth and change. The world is waiting. You are waiting for you to answer the call and keep moving towards purpose. Cincinnatus, Episode 6, Nomad. There's a quote that says basically, you don't know struggle until you've slept on someone else's couch when they really didn't want you there. You don't know struggle until you slept on someone else's couch and they really didn't want you there. And that quote has stuck in my head, not for reasons where I think that I believe that. It's just a lot to take in when you think about something like that. You've gotten to a point where you're obviously displaced. You have shelter in someone that you felt comfortable enough to even go to. You're sleeping on their property, and you know they would rather you go away. That's a lot to take in. There's a lot of questions there. And with any person who grows and learns, adapting and evolving is all about asking questions as human beings, asking questions and finding out through other people's experiences, not just your own, what's really going on around you. And when I heard that quote, it's not even so much a quote as it was a meme. I say it's a quote because somebody came up with it, but it's a concept. It's just an idea to think about. This is happening all around us. And how did the person get displaced? What happened there? Who are the people that they went to? What type of place is this? Is this couch a nice couch, or is it worse than where he was? Who are these people? Are they family? Are they friends? Was it a stranger? It's just, you can come up with so many things in your mind, and it really just goes back to WTF happened to this individual to end up in this situation in the first place. How was this person displaced? And I think about things like this all the time because the end result of it always comes down to the moment someone would ask themselves that question. If you ask somebody how they got to that place before they asked you for aid to have someplace to sleep, you might get one answer. You ask them in the moment, in the middle of the night, where they're on that couch in the dark and they can't sleep on this person's couch, meaning like they can sleep on it, but they physically cannot sleep because they don't know where they're going to be tomorrow. That answer is different of how they got there. Maybe some blame and guilt starts to seek in and they want to blame people where earlier in the day, before they was in that situation, they might have taken a little bit more accountability. It's those nuances that filter throughout the day. You talk about energy all the time. Your energy is filtered through other people based on what they are feeling at the time. So you could be feeling positive and be like, hey, what's going on? And somebody could just take it and be like, I'm not having it. I'm negative today. I'm going to, you need to go away. Should you be the one who takes the bulk of that rejection personally to the point where you feel like you're responsible for that person's negativity? Or is it their issue? All of these questions go back to, where are we in our lives? And how do we get there? Where are we in our lives and how did we get there? And then what we have to do at that point is we have to take ourselves, put ourselves in a bubble and make it about us. If you take away the blame, the shame, the insults that we push upon people, when we get in a hard spot, we want to blame, we want to insult people, we want to guilt people, and we're all guilty of this. But what happens when you're alone, when it's just you? Or maybe in a similar situation where it's just you on someone else's couch. All those things don't matter so much. Blaming someone else is not going to matter. Guilting them, shaming them, all these things aren't going to matter. Because you are the one who has to wake up and draw more breaths of your life. No one else can do those for you. You can't blame other people for that. Now, I guess you could say I can blame my parents for this, but they're no more responsible for your conception as they were conceived. We are all here. It really doesn't matter how we got here. We're here now, and we have to deal with it. I talk often about the utopian tree. For those who don't know, the utopian tree is a tree, and I'm going to keep reinforcing this as much as possible because I believe it's important. But the utopian tree theory really fits in with this Nomad podcast. Utopian tree theory is the theory of you are a tree, the most beautiful, thriving tree you can find on the top of the most beautiful, thriving mountain, overseeing a giant valley of lush trees and forests. You get the perfect sunlight, the perfect weather, the perfect rainfall. And then one day someone walks up the hill with an axe, chops you down for firewood, chops you up into little pieces, takes you back to their cabin, and sets you on fire. And the best thing that could happen to you is that you become a phoenix that rises from the ashes from that. And the analogy and the metaphor and the concept comes from, is it good or bad from staying in one place for too long? Should you stay in one place for too long? And we can apply this question to anything, any person, place, or thing. Should you stay with a person for too long? Should you stay in your house for too long? Should you keep your car for too long? Should you keep your job for too long? All these things, we ask ourselves these things all the time. But really, it comes back to trusting yourself, your gut intuition. What do you think? As a life coach, that's one of the first things we had to learn. To ask other people the question, what do you think? Do you want my opinion or you want my advice? We ask that because it really doesn't matter what we think. We can give you a perspective, but ultimately it goes back to you. Do you believe you're standing in one place for too long? Do you believe that your mind has stopped? It's like a clock. Clock is right 2 times a day, right? But it's still broken. We have these things in our brains, these concepts in our brains and these mindsets of, my mind's racing, my mind's busy, so I'm busy. Until you get to the end of the day and you realize you haven't done a damn thing. You say, well, I did a lot today. I sure did. I did a lot. I think I did a lot. Let me rephrase that question and add something to it. You got to the end of the day and you didn't do a damn thing that grew your purpose. You did a lot of stuff. You met a lot of people. You bought a lot of things. But you didn't do anything that grew within your purpose in life. Meaning, you went to bed feeling unfulfilled, because purpose is about fulfillment. And even if you do something for 5 minutes that's towards your purpose, that counts. I say you wake up every morning and you gain small victories each and every day. That is a healthy, positive way of keeping things mobilized. Keeping things moving on your path. Nomad. People who are moving around constantly, doing things within their purpose. A nomad is not some person who's moving around randomly for no freaking reason at all. Now, we have people like that. There are people who do that all throughout the world. There's people who are traveling around. But guess what? They're living in that. That is their purpose in life. That's different than somebody who's taking a vacation and going backpacking up the mountain, or taking an extended European vacation and traveling around Europe. You're not a nomad. You're on vacation. You have to return to your purpose at some point. Whereas someone who is truly a traveler has no zip code, has no home, has no couch to sleep on. These people are truly nomads. Terminology, accountability. These are things that when you break things down, which I love to do, when you break things down and you start getting to the root of it, what are you doing each day that is keeping you moving towards your purpose? Not just mentally, but also physically. Where do you go each day that is purposeful? And there's people that I know that do this very well each and every day. And this is the reason why when I had my awakening, I wanted to gravitate towards people who you could look at them and you would say, wow, it's nothing spectacular about it, but they are living healthy lives. They are living within their purpose. Each move, each thing that they do is about family. It's about uniting together and doing things together within that family, within their core. It's about building relationships each day. It's not about negativity and wasting moments and taking people for granted. It's all structured within their overall purpose. And some of these people don't even realize they're doing it. They don't even realize they're doing 60 to 70 to 80% of their purpose each day, where other people are looking at it and saying, you're not doing anything. Again, let's go back to that nomad. If you saw a guy walking around with a backpack and he's hiking all over the world, and he happens to go through Vegas. He's walking down the casinos and you got people spending money and they're drunk and everyone's having a great time. They're like, man, your life sucks. And he's looking at you guys like, your guys' lives suck because you got to go. This is temporary for you. I live no temporary. There's nothing temporary about my life. This is my life. I'm at peace. Let's go back to that monk I was talking about. The monk by the tree. He's at peace. He's at peace because he's living and moving within his purpose, even when he's not moving. Well, what kind of sense does that make? It makes sense because your body is one thing, your mind is another. You sit too long, what happens to your body? Your foot, your leg, your arms, they fall asleep. Your body's telling you, I don't want to be in one spot for too long, or you're going to have some discomfort. Look at people who have sedentary lives. It's not the healthiest life. We know this. We look at people all the time and we judge them on it based on moments though. But which is why I say bubble time, right? You got to go back to yourself. Some random person walking by and judging you is not going to paint the picture of who you are. The only person who could paint a picture of who you are and how you're moving through life is you. How much have you experienced? I know one thing. Part of being a life coach for me, why I gravitated towards it, is because I was forced at a young age to have to move around to a lot of different places in a short amount of time. And I've talked about this before. We went from being homeless to my mother getting a great job and finding a partner and building a life. And when I went to elementary school all the way up to 4th grade. Then in 5th grade, moved 45 minutes away to a completely different school district. I went from one public school that was a certain way to another public school that was a completely different atmosphere. It was like a different planet. Went one full school year with this district in 5th grade, and then went to another school district in 6th grade. From 6th grade to 8th grade, I was in that district. Then in the middle of 8th grade, moved all the way to Louisiana for a few months. My father died. We come back up to, I'm from Missouri, by the way, come back up to Missouri. And from 9th on, I was good, but in that little age group that I was in when that was happening, 3 different school districts in 3 years, you have to learn how to adapt. And then to move all the way down to another state when you're 6 months away from being in high school, you better learn how to adapt. And I did. I did the best that I could. But it all made me who I am. And I wouldn't change any of it, other than my father dying, of course. But it made me who I am. And it took me a long time to understand that who I am is a direct result of all of that. And I love who I am. What does that say? That means all that was supposed to happen, and it did. I could try to wish it away. I can try to wash my memories away, but I can't do that. And I can't do that because we're not supposed to do that. We have to accept what has come before. We have to accept what is now. But we have a little bit of control of what happens in the future. We can make choices right now based on our past. Where do we want to go from here? Do we want to stay in the same place? Do we want to just stay stuck in the same spot and become that utopian tree and get cut down at some point? And this is all metaphor talk. Obviously, this is all a metaphor of, do you want to grow as a person? Or are you going to answer the call when challenges arise? When things get difficult, are you going to run from your partner? Are you going to denounce the people in your life that aren't living up to your expectations? Are you going to say, I deserve better than my job, so I'm going to not work? I'm going to do A, B, and C. There's a lot of decision making that comes into life where things are going to feel unfair in the moment, but in the grand scheme of things, they're just moments strung together to make a memory. They're just moments strung together to make a memory. It's fear. Fear causes us to make some really strange choices in life. And I know that. Genuinely, I know that. Because I was one of the most fearful people you would ever meet when I was younger. And I went from being a confident little young kid to, like I said, once we started moving around, that messed with me a little bit. But deep down inside, it was actually giving me confidence that a lot of other people never had. I just never tapped into it. I didn't tap into it until I got into college. And I started realizing some of the people because you have to grow. You don't know. You think everybody's going through this when you're young. When I got to college and I started talking to other guys, I started realizing, we have some beers at the bar and everybody's talking about their life and how they got to where they were. And I'm like, these people haven't been through anything compared to what I've been through. Doesn't make me better, doesn't make me worse. It just is what it is. And I recognize it and I'm like, wow. I need to tap into this more. I need to understand who I am more because I think I have more confidence than I'm giving myself credit for. And that realization got me to where I am today. It got me married. It got me to be a confident father. It got me to be a confident musician and ultimately lead me to life coaching. To know that I have been through enough and can recognize my flaws and everything that I've done wrong in my life to be able to help other people. Because otherwise, every single one of those experiences that I had are worth nothing, which means my life is worth nothing. If I don't take accountability and ownership over everything that's happened to me that I went through, regardless if it was fair or unfair. Remember, the world is not always understanding about anything that happens to us in our past, present or future. The world is not always understanding. We are the ones who are ourselves understanding. We talk about forgiving other people. We have to forgive ourselves. And that a path is not a dead end. If there's a dead end sign at the end of a path on your journey, take the sign and kick it over. It's not a dead end. This isn't the flat earth theory where you just fall off the earth at a certain point. You take the sign and you walk past that dead end. And you can even walk back to the sign and say, thank you for testing me. I choose to ignore you. I don't believe in dead ends. Sign. And you keep walking. Because there are no dead ends in life. There's always some place you can walk. What you don't want to do is walk backwards. Unless it's in your purpose and you know you can go back and you can fix something. That you can adjust something. That there's something that you can do that could right or wrong and you need to go back and fix it. There's nothing wrong with that because that's all aligned with purpose. Just as long as once that thing's fixed, you keep it moving. Because if we stand too long in one spot in our minds, our body, our heart, and our soul, that is not what our purpose is. We did not be conceived, come out in this world, learn everything, go through all this stuff just so we can stand still. It's our responsibility to keep moving. We have all of the tools we need today, especially today in this world, to learn as much as we need to learn, to grow as much as we need to grow, to change as much as we need to change. All of that stuff comes from acknowledging exactly what it is that we need to change, what we need to focus on. What are the changes that we've been ignoring that we know need to be focal points in our lives? Where are we going? It's not enough just to say, I'm going to go. Do you know where you're going, or are you just going to wing it? And honestly, there's nothing wrong with winging it in a way, as long as it's coming from a place of, I know who I am. A nomad, somebody who travels around, is not going to go into an environment that they know they're going to fail at. And if they do, that's their choice. But most people, if you're going to go out and you're going to do something, you're not going to say, I'm going to do this because I'm going to fail at it. Unless you know it's part of your purpose. Because I believe in failure as far as growth, a huge asset. I'll say that again. I believe failure as far as growth goes is a huge asset if you choose to answer the call. I knew as a marathon runner, the first time that I ran, it was gonna suck. And it did, but not as much as I thought. It sucked. I failed. I didn't do what I thought I could do in my first marathon, official marathon. I'm talking about running with people, not just training. I'm talking about the first official marathon where I had a bib on with a number and I'm out and I showed up and there's people around me, thousands of people around me, and I got to do this thing now. Was it a failure? No. But I could have looked at it as a failure if I didn't show up. If I did all that for nothing, what was the point? And that's the whole point of this thing. Because the failures came before the marathon is the point. I failed in training plenty of times. You're always failing, but what are you working towards? I was working towards a marathon. And when I got in a marathon, I didn't fail. I succeeded. I didn't walk one step. That was my goal. Run, and it was only a 6 miler. Run 6 miles straight and don't stop. And for 39, I believe I was at the time, that was a huge achievement for me. Huge achievement for somebody who did not like running. But it was part of my purpose. And I didn't even really realize it then. I didn't realize that running was one of the greatest things that would change my life forever. And it took someone like David Goggins to imprint that upon me. And that's another thing. The less you move, the less people you interact with. The less you move, the more you stay in place, the less opportunities and people you are going to have in your life that could help you see things in yourself you never would have thought would be within you. I learned that I love running through a podcast between Joe Rogan and David Goggins, and it changed my life. Two people I'll probably never meet, and they changed my life forever just for having a conversation, for David Goggins sharing his story, for Joe Rogan being conscious enough to bring someone like him on. These are things, again, I moved in the right direction towards the podcast. It's about growing, accepting new things, learning something new every single day. Where haven't you been? People who travel are some of the happiest people you ever meet. I love when somebody says I love traveling, because that means that's someone who has it together. That's someone who wants to explore and learn more about this world. Ask yourself a question. If you was talking to someone and they said, I hate traveling. Not that you're judging them, but where would your mind go to about that person? I don't like to travel. I hate traveling. I want to stay right here. Nothing wrong with that, but what would you think about that person? We align with who we align with. Like attracts like. So if that's something you're cool with, then you might say, hey, look, I like staying here too. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm saying for the person I am, I like people who like to travel. Because that's what I like to do. I like to keep things moving, not only physically, but mentally. I like to keep my emotions moving. I like to keep my spirituality moving. I like to keep growing. Moving means growth, in my opinion. The more you move, the more you're doing things, you're growing. It's like atrophy with your muscles. If you're not working your muscles, what happens to them? You lose them. You lose them. You lose what you don't use. And if you're not growing as a person, that means you are lacking growth. If you're not constantly looking for information and learning new things each and every day, that means you're not getting smarter each day. And we have to be brutally honest about these terms and definitions. It's just fact. If you don't learn something new every single day, or at least as much as possible, it is impossible for you to get smarter. Now, there is a such thing as book sense versus common sense. People say, I was born with common sense, so I don't need to learn book sense. And vice versa. I say, why sell yourself short? Why not learn all of it? Why not learn as much as you can? Again, let's go back to that monk on the tree. By the tree. The monk would tell you your journey is going to take you as many places as it can take you, and you still are only going to be in a very low percentile of where you would be if you lived 100 lifetimes. There's just too much on this planet to explore, too many different experiences, too many different nuances. We can't do all that. So that's why choice becomes so important. Where we go is so important, because we don't have infinite lives. We don't have infinite opportunities. We don't have infinite chances and infinite relationships to get it right. We have to get it right now. We have to get it right now. And only we as individuals know what that right now means for us. Are we taking people for granted in our lives that are meant to be there permanently and we're shutting them out? Are there careers and job opportunities that we look forward to that we are exploring because we don't have the confidence and we're afraid of failure? Are there places we want to go and things we want to experience, but we don't see the path clearly, so we're just accepting the dead end sign? We can't accept dead end signs. We can't accept failure without knowledge of what could come from that failure, because failure is good. Failure is good. Failure is telling you, I am not a dead end sign. I need you to learn from me. I need you to accept me because I'm a part of your life and I'm not going away. I am failure, and failure is part of success. Failure is a part of success. You cannot have one without the other. You can't have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich but only put peanut butter or jelly on the sandwich and call it a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We have to take life for what it is, accept it for what it is, but know that we have room to grow within it. But it requires us to not stay stationary. We have to keep mobilizing. We have to keep answering the call. We have to keep pushing each and every day. That doesn't mean you make your life an unnecessary struggle. That doesn't mean you make bad decisions. It doesn't mean you connect with the people you're not aligned with. It means you pay more attention to who you are. We only have one lifetime. That lifetime is only going to last for so long, obviously. It's called a lifetime, not an infinite lifetime. What are we doing within these limits that we have upon us? When we were born, our birthright is to live the fullest life we could possibly live. That means we have to keep pushing each day, not as a struggle, but as a healthy, positive push to get us towards and more towards our purpose. And the more we know about ourselves, where we come from, what our morals and principles and our boundaries are, and we're aligned with the right people, we are in good shape. We all are in good shape. You are in good shape. Because only you know where you want to go. And whether or not you're happy with that direction is entirely your responsibility. You are responsible for your own happiness. You are responsible for where you are and where you believe you're going. The world does not owe you understanding or where you've been. This is the time to take the opportunity each and every day, each and every moment, to know that you don't have to stand still unless you want to. It is your right to stand still, but it's also your right to keep moving. Pledge with me. I am the strongest person I know. I am alive for a reason. I pledge to stand on my values. I pledge to set and reinforce healthy boundaries. I pledge to keep pushing forward. I am not a victim. I am not without purpose. I pledge to continue to create the life I want. I pledge to grow beyond my current self. I pledge to commit to myself unconditionally because I am the strongest person I know. I will always be the strongest person I know. I pledge to continue to create and, if need be, recreate the blueprint of my life. I pledge to accept and face any challenge and obstacle that comes my way because I am the strongest person I know. I pledge I will remain who I am here and now and going forward because I am the strongest person I know. This is your day. You are here now. These are your moments. You own them. You are brave, bold, powerful. You do believe in yourself. You know you have more in the tank. You know the glass is half full. There's still more room for improvement. There is no end. Believe, believe, believe in yourself. Trust yourself. Trust that you can do whatever it takes to accomplish whatever you want from life. You don't procrastinate. You don't embellish. You don't lie. You are true to yourself always. Knowledge is in your mind. Peace is in your heart. Balance is in your body. Purpose is in your soul. You are greatness. The sky is not the limit. You have purpose, fulfilling, intentful purpose. You are here for a reason. You are unique. You are self-love, self-discipline, self-respect, self-control. You have self-awareness. You are joy, peace, and happiness. You are freedom, and yet connected to every person, place, and thing in the universe. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall. Learn, laugh, and level up.